the silent revival. The cold was absolute. It pressed against Dr. Elena Vasquez's consciousness like a weight made of ice and silence. Her first breath came as a shock, burning her lungs as ancient air recyclers hummed to life around her. The hibernation. Pod's lid hissed open with a sound that echoed through the empty corridors of Research Station Prometheus. Elena's eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the dim emergency lighting that bathed everything in a sickly yellow glow. Her body ached in ways she had never experienced before, as if every cell was crying out from a sleep too deep and too long. She tried to speak, but only managed a rough whisper. System status report. The station's AI responded with a voice that seemed older somehow, more worn than she remembered. Dr. Vasquez, welcome back. Current date, 870,000 years, 3 months, 14 days since mission commencement. Hibernation protocol has been successfully completed. Elena's heart stopped. 870,000 years. The mission was supposed to last 50 years at most. They had been studying the effects of deep space radiation on the outer rim, looking for ways to protect future human colonies. Something had gone catastrophically wrong. She struggled to sit up, her muscles protesting every movement. The medical bay was exactly as she remembered it, but dust covered everything like a funeral shroud. Through the observation window, she could see the other hibernation pods arranged in neat rows. Most were dark, their occupants still lost in artificial sleep. How many survived? Elena asked, though she dreaded the answer. 17 pods remained functional. The others suffered system failures over the millennia. Estimated survival rate, 34%. Elena closed her eyes, feeling the weight of centuries pressing down on her. 34% of 50 researchers, 17 people left from humanity's most ambitious deep space mission. She forced herself to stand, her legs shaking like a newborn's. Begin awakening protocols for the remaining survivors. Priority. Order. Captain Reed, Engineer Kim, Dr. Torres. Acknowledged. However, Dr. Vasquez, I must inform you of significant developments. The galactic landscape has changed dramatically during your hibernation period. Elena made her way to the main console, each step more steady than the last. The screens flickered to life, showing star charts that looked nothing like the ones she remembered. New trade routes crisscrossed the galaxy, marked in symbols she didn't recognize. Where human colonies once dotted the outer rim, alien settlements now flourished. Show me Earth, she whispered. The display shifted, zooming in on the Sol system. Elena's breath caught in her throat. Earth was there, but it looked different. The continents had shifted slightly, and the planet's surface showed signs of massive terraforming, but the readings showed no human life signatures. None at all. According to current galactic records, the AI continued, humanity is listed as extinct. The last confirmed human settlement was abandoned approximately 800,000 years ago. The species is considered a historical curiosity by current galactic civilization. Elena gripped the console, her knuckles white, extinct, while they slept, believing they were helping secure humanity's future. Their entire species had vanished from the galaxy. She was looking at the graveyard of human civilization. A hiss from the medical bay interrupted her thoughts. Captain Marcus Reed was awakening, his military bearing evident even as he struggled out of his pod. Elena rushed to help him, steadying his massive frame as he found his footing. Elena? His voice was rough, confused. What's the situation? Why does everything look so old? Marcus, I need you to stay calm. We've been asleep for a very long time. Much longer than planned. Reed's training kicked in immediately. Despite his disorientation, he began assessing their situation with military precision. How long? What's our status? 870,000 years. We're alone, Marcus. Humanity is gone. The words hit Reed like a physical blow. He was quiet for a long moment, processing the impossible reality. When he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of command. Then we're not alone. We're the last, and the last don't quit. Engineer Zara Kim was next to wake, her small frame belying the fierce intelligence that had made her invaluable to the mission. She adapted quickly to the situation, her mind already working on solutions before she was fully conscious. The life support systems, she said, checking readings with practiced efficiency. They've been running on minimal power for centuries. We need to get the main reactor online if we're going to survive. Dr. James Torres, the mission's historian and linguist, was the last to wake. His reaction to their situation was different from the others. While they focused on survival, he was fascinated by the implications. Think about it, he said, his eyes bright with scholarly excitement. We're living history. We can study the evolution of galactic civilization from a unique perspective. The languages alone, we can study them from the inside of a jail cell if we're not careful, Elena interrupted. According to the records, we're supposed to be extinct. That might make us valuable to whoever's running things now. Their discussion was interrupted by proximity alarms. Something was approaching the station. The main screen showed a sleek vessel, its design unlike anything from human engineering. The ship's hull was dark and organic-looking, with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed like a heartbeat. Unknown vessel, this is Kethvar patrol ship, Zixtal. You are in violation of controlled space. Identify yourself immediately. Elena looked at the others. Everyone stays quiet. Let me handle this. She opened a channel, trying to keep her voice steady. This is Research Station Prometheus. We're experiencing system malfunctions. No immediate assistance required. The response came back sharp and commanding. Station Prometheus is not listed in current registry. Prepare for boarding and inspection. Reed moved to the weapons locker, but Elena stopped him with a gesture. They had no idea what they were dealing with, and violence might be the worst possible response. The boarding party that docked with their station was unlike anything Elena had ever imagined. The Kethvar were insectoid in appearance, standing, nearly 7 feet tall on 4 legs. Their bodies were covered in chitinous armor that gleamed with metallic highlights. Multiple arms moved with precise coordination, and their compound eyes seemed to take in everything at once. The leader, Commander Zixtal, spoke through a translator device that rendered his clicking speech into Galactic standard. This station shows signs of ancient human construction. Fascinating, the extinct species was more advanced than we believed. Elena stepped forward, her heart pounding. We're researchers. We've been in hibernation for an extended period. Zixtal's antennae twitched with what might have been amusement. Hibernation? Impossible. Humans lacked the technology for extended stasis. You are either criminals using stolen technology or... He paused, his compound eyes focusing on Elena with new intensity. You are actual humans. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Elena could feel the weight of their situation settling around them. They were living relics, specimens from a dead civilization, and they were completely at the mercy of beings who viewed them as historical curiosities. Commander? Elena said, carefully. We mean no harm. We're scientists. We've been asleep for centuries, unaware of the changes that have occurred. Zixtal circled them slowly, his scanner devices clicking and whirring. If you are truly human, you represent an unprecedented archaeological discovery. The Kethvar Science Collective will be most interested in your specimens. Reed tensed beside Elena, but she caught his eye and shook her head slightly. Not yet. They needed to understand their situation better before making any moves. We're not specimens, Elena said firmly. We're people. We have rights under galactic law. Rights? Zixtal's translator conveyed what sounded like laughter. Extinct species have no rights. You are artifacts, nothing more. You will be taken to the collective for proper study and preservation. As the Kethvar began setting up containment fields around them, Elena caught sight of something that made her heart race. Torres was discreetly working with his datapad, his fingers moving in patterns she recognized. He was documenting everything, recording their captors' language and behavior patterns. Kim was doing the same, her engineer's mind cataloging the alien technology around them. Reed was memorizing security protocols and weapon placements. Even in captivity, they were doing what humans had always done. They were learning, adapting, and preparing. Elena realized that their captors had made a crucial mistake. They saw humans as extinct curiosities, relics from a bygone age. They had no idea what they were dealing with. Humans didn't become extinct because they were weak or primitive. They survived because they were resourceful, determined, and capable of extraordinary things when pushed to their limits. As the Kethvar ship prepared to leave with its precious cargo, Elena smiled grimly. The galaxy thought humanity was dead. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The last humans in the galaxy were awake, and they were not going quietly into the night. The Galactic Reckoning. The Kethvar detention facility was a marvel of alien engineering, but Elena Vasquez had seen enough marvels in the past week to last several lifetimes. The holding cells were designed for a dozen different species, each with its own atmospheric and gravitational requirements. The humans were kept in a section originally built for a now-extinct species called the Veltari, whose physiology was similar enough to humans to make the accommodation workable. Elena watched through the energy barrier as Kethvar scientists scuttled back and forth, preparing their equipment for what they called comprehensive biological analysis. The translation made it sound clinical, but Elena understood what they really meant: dissection. "They're making a mistake," she whispered to Reed, who was systematically testing the strength of their containment field. "They think we're primitive, because we're old." Reed paused in his examination. "What do you mean?" "They're treating us like museum pieces. They assume that because we're from 850,000 years ago, we must be less advanced than they are. But that's not how it works. We're not from their past. We're from a different evolutionary path entirely." Kim looked up from her corner where she had been discreetly studying the cell's power systems. "Elena's right. Their technology is advanced, but it's based on biological integration. They've grown their tech, not built it. They don't understand mechanical engineering the way we do." Torres nodded from his position near the observation window. "I've been listening to their conversations. They've mentioned humans in their historical records, but only as a failed experiment in rapid expansion. They think we burned out too quickly, expanded too fast without proper planning." Elena felt a spark of hope. If the Kethvar underestimated human capabilities, that might be their one advantage. "What about the other species? Are there any potential allies?" "Several," Torres replied. "The Kethvar are one of the dominant powers, but they're not the only ones. There's a diplomatic species called the Lithera, and something called the Collective Mind that seems to be an AI network. The problem is, they all think we're extinct." "Then maybe it's time to change that," Elena said. Kim's eyes lit up. "You're thinking about the emergency broadcast system?" "Exactly. Every human facility was equipped with quantum entanglement communicators for long-range emergency signals. If we can get to the station's communication array, we can send a message to every corner of the galaxy simultaneously." Reed raised an eyebrow. "What kind of message?" Elena smiled. "The kind that changes everything." Their opportunity came sooner than expected. The Kethvar scientists, eager to begin their research, made the mistake of underestimating human ingenuity. They brought Elena to an examination room filled with scanning equipment, assuming she would be too frightened to cause trouble. They were wrong. Elena had spent years studying alien technology as part of her research. While the Kethvar equipment was more advanced than anything from her time, the basic principles were the same. When the lead scientist, Dr. Vextar, activated the deep tissue scanner, Elena was ready. "Fascinating," Vextar chittered. "The neural pathways show remarkable complexity for such a primitive species. The brain structure suggests problem-solving capabilities far beyond our estimates." Elena waited until the scanner was at full power, then triggered the small electromagnetic pulse device Kim had hidden in her clothing. The EMP was designed to disrupt alien electronics, a precaution from their original mission. The scanner overloaded, sending feedback through the facility's bioneural network. Emergency lights began blinking as system failures cascaded through the station. In the chaos, Elena slipped away from her captors and made her way to the communication center. The Kethvar security systems were in disarray, their organic nature making them vulnerable to electromagnetic interference. She found the quantum communicator just as Reed, Kim, and Torres broke free from their cells. The facility's security was designed to contain specimens, not to prevent escape by intelligent beings who understood the technology better than their captors realized. "How long do we have?" Elena asked, as she began configuring the communicator. "Maybe 10 minutes before they restore full power," Kim replied, working frantically to boost the signal strength. "This better work." Elena took a deep breath and activated the galaxy-wide emergency broadcast. Her voice would reach every inhabited system, every space station, every ship with a receiver. After 850,000 years of silence, humanity was about to announce its return. "This is Dr. Elena Vasquez of the Terran Research Station Prometheus. We are human beings, and we are very much alive. For too long, the galaxy has believed our species extinct. That belief ends today. We are 17 survivors of a deep space mission that began over 800,000 years ago. We have awakened to find our civilization gone, our worlds abandoned, and our very existence denied. But we are here. We are human, and we are not going anywhere." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Communication channels across the galaxy erupted with activity. Some species responded with excitement, others with fear, and a few with what could only be described as panic. The first to respond was Ambassador Lithara of the Diplomatic Corps, her translated voice carrying notes of wonder and concern. "Dr. Vasquez, this is Ambassador Lithara. If you are truly human, this is the most significant discovery in galactic history. We must speak immediately." Elena smiled. "Ambassador, we would be honored to speak with you. But first, we need to establish our credentials. We claim this station under the authority of the Terran Deep Space Research Division, and we formally request recognition as the legitimate representatives of humanity." The claim sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Species that had settled former human territories suddenly found their claims challenged by the original owners. The Kethvar, who had been so confident in their superiority, now faced the possibility of having captured and threatened members of a species that had just announced its return to galactic politics. Within hours, the station was surrounded by ships from a dozen different species. Some came as diplomats, others as scientists, and a few as potential military threats. Elena found herself at the center of a galactic incident that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. But the biggest surprise came from an unexpected source. A message arrived from the collective mind, the ancient AI network that had been observing galactic civilization for millions of years. "Dr. Elena Vasquez." The AI's voice was hauntingly familiar. "This is Archive Unit 7 of the collective mind. We have been waiting for your return. We remember humanity from before the hibernation period. You were remarkable." Elena's hands trembled as she responded. "You remember us? We remember everything. The collective mind preserves the history that others forget. We know why you entered hibernation, and we know what happened to your species after you slept. We have been waiting for this day for $847,000 years." The AI's revelation changed everything. The collective mind began broadcasting archived data about human civilization, proving their claims and establishing their historical legitimacy. The galaxy learned that humans hadn't failed or burned out. They had been systematically eliminated by a coalition of species that feared their rapid expansion and technological innovation. Elena felt a chill as she realized the implications. "Our people didn't die out naturally, they were murdered." "Not all," the AI corrected. "Some escaped, some hid, some waited. We have been watching, recording, preserving. When you are ready, we will show you where your people went." The next few days were a whirlwind of diplomatic activity. The Kethvar, faced with the reality of their situation, released their prisoners and offered formal apologies. Other species began reaching out, some seeking alliance, others attempting to justify their occupation of former human territories. Elena found herself thrust into the role of humanity's primary representative, a position she had never wanted, but couldn't abandon. Reed took charge of security concerns. Kim worked on establishing communication with other potential human survivors, and Torres began the massive task of cataloging how galactic civilization had evolved during their absence. The breakthrough came when the collective mind revealed the locations of 17 other human survivor sites scattered across the galaxy. Some were hibernation facilities like theirs. Others were hidden colonies that had survived by remaining undetected. In total, nearly 1,000 humans had survived the centuries, waiting for the right moment to return. Elena stood on the observation deck of the newly christened Terran embassy, watching as ships from the Human Remnant Coalition arrived from across the galaxy. They were few in number, but they brought with them something the galaxy had forgotten: the human spirit of innovation, determination, and refusal to surrender. Sarah Chen, the leader of the colony ship Endeavor's survivors, summed it up perfectly as she joined Elena at the observation window. They thought they had eliminated us. Instead, they just taught us to be patient. Elena nodded, watching as the first formal session of the new Terran Alliance prepared to begin. They had a lot of work ahead of them. They needed to establish their territorial claims, negotiate with the current galactic powers, and figure out how to rebuild their civilization from the scattered remnants of their people. But they had advantages their enemies hadn't counted on. They had experience with rapid adaptation and technological innovation. They had the backing of the collective mind, which had preserved their history and technology. Most importantly, they had something that 850,000 years of sleep hadn't diminished: the unbreakable human will to survive and thrive. As Elena prepared for the first diplomatic session of the new era, she smiled at the irony. The galaxy had thought humanity was extinct, a failed experiment in rapid expansion. What they were about to discover was that humanity hadn't failed at all. They had simply been taking a very long nap, and now they were awake, rested, and ready to show the galaxy what humans could really do when they put their minds to it. The age of human resurgence had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again.